5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
A $100 million budget, and an $82 million box office haul on opening weekend. But these numbers are not the only reason we believe Christopher Nolan has created another masterpiece that might just outlive us all. For a long time, the apocalyptic legacy of Oppenheimer haunted history and culture, but that was mostly for nerds or people who read books or watched boring documentaries. It remained elusive for most of the newer generation who learned history and culture via movies and music, until the legendary Hollywood director stepped in. What makes his latest big-screen feature such a big deal? Oppenheimer has quickly become a screen favorite due to its richness in cultural and historical gems. Oppenheimer tells the story of a real-life historical figure, Robert Oppenheimer. Also credited as the father of the atomic bomb, the American theoretical physicist was director of the Manhattan Project's Los Alamos laboratory during World War II, and his work there set the tone for an interesting lifetime of complicated storylines. Robert Oppenheimer's life and personality quickly fascinated history buffs and artists alike. Since 1946, tons of artistic materials on Oppenheimer have been produced to varying degrees of acclaim. They include television mini-documentaries, books, plays, graphic novels, feature films, and even an opera presentation. These productions combined fiction with facts to explore Oppenheimer's life and legacy, the result of which has often been about the perspective of a broken genius haunted by his own invention. Alongside this image, a popular line from an NBC News documentary in 1965 defines Oppenheimer's life. It says, "Now I have become death, the destroyer of worlds." As far as humanity is concerned, the story of Oppenheimer must be kept alive throughout generations. Such stories can serve not only as entertainment, but also as material to learn from. Already from conversations trending on social media after the movie's release, parallels have been drawn between Oppenheimer's creation and subsequent regret and the latest wave of artificial intelligence projects. Could AI potentially become this generation's atomic bomb? It remains to be seen. There are only 12 IMAX cameras in the world, but somehow one ended up on the set of Oppenheimer, plus no CGI. Christopher Nolan's last film before Oppenheimer was Tenet. The 2020 action sci-fi movie badly underperformed at the box office due to pandemic restrictions. With Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan knew he had to go over and beyond to turn those fortunes around and get back to being the box office smashing director we've all come to expect. So what did he do? Knowing he had to make the movie of his life to restore his reputation as one of the world's best movie makers, Christopher Nolan wrote to the guys at Kodak Photochem. It was a special request, one very rarely seen in Hollywood. The legendary director wanted some scenes in the movie to be shot in black and white IMAX film. The black and white color scheme defined cinema from the period in which Oppenheimer himself was alive and would help give the movie a more realistic perspective. It was an experiment, all right, but one that, if successful, would make Oppenheimer the first film to use both formats simultaneously. Another major accomplishment of the movie is that, in a world where CGI is fast becoming the bane of big-budget flicks, Oppenheimer ran for 3 solid hours without any CGI-assisted scene. For a movie with sufficient excuses to dabble into significant CGI magic like its peers, Nolan chose a different path, not for the first time in his storied career. Oppenheimer deserves all the flowers it's gotten so far, and even more for this alone. Besides breaking records, Oppenheimer also represented a return to his roots for a director whose first feature, titled Following, was shot in black and white in 1998. Of course, Oppenheimer was a massive success. Besides breaking all those records, Oppenheimer also represented a return to his roots for a director whose first feature, Following, was shot in black and white in 1998. How Christopher Nolan was able to combine great storytelling, amazing cinematography, and realistic scenes, all without distracting from the historical significance of the story, has to be one of the best moments of contemporary filmmaking. Oppenheimer's is a gem packed with historical significance, the ability to generate conversations centered around not just the past, but also the present and its incredible cinematographic achievements. No doubt this will ensure it remains in the minds of many long after it has disappeared from the big screens. A huge part of what made Oppenheimer a masterpiece is the way that the music emphasizes each part of the story. The reason why the music from Oppenheimer is so good is because Christopher Nolan had no idea what he wanted for the score for this movie. Well, except for one thing. In this case, all Christopher Nolan had to give Ludwig was the idea of basing the score on the violin, and the composer brought onto the film Wood Gore, who you might know from movie scores like Black Panther, Tenet, Venom, and Creed 2. He thought primarily using violins was all the direction he needed to start because there's so much in the performance of the violin. Within seconds, you can go from something beautiful to something completely horrified. The violin is the most agile and subsequently maybe the most versatile string instrument in the orchestra. It has a small fretboard, meaning you can jump around from note to note without exerting too much physical effort, whether that be your fingers vertically or your arm horizontally. It's what allows for a violin to make an ascending run like this and then turn on a dime to make a doubly fast descending run like this. That agility is pretty much exclusive to the violin, but what makes Can You Hear the Music so great is actually a technique you can do on any bowstring instrument at this piece is climax. You get one of my favorite string techniques called pizzicato. Pizzicato is an Italian word of music that just basically means plucked. So on a violin, instead of using the bow, you can pluck the notes with your fingers like this. And in Can You Hear the Music, you're teased with these plucks until they speed up and speed up. And Ludwig eventually layers a synthesizer on top of them, which makes them sound way bigger and more metallic. And this for me is at the heart of why this piece is so good. In the first half, you have this delicate, exciting dance that turns into a run representing Oppenheimer learning about quantum mechanics and making breakthroughs. It's beautiful, academic, and swift. And then the piece builds this huge, almost metallic clanging, representing that theoretical knowledge being turned into America's industrial might and power. It almost lands like a war rally. It feels like an industrial montage. And to Ludwig's point, the violin is the perfect instrument to base the score around to quickly make textural changes like that. It's the best choice for a single string instrument that can handle both the runs and the plucks. It even parallels a scene later in the movie where Oppenheimer is in front of a crowd and expected to give a rousing speech, and the crowd decides to stomp and cheer him on in a similar way. What do you guys think about the score? Let me know in the comments. Oppenheimer was first released on July 11th, 2023 in Paris. Then it was subsequently released in the United States and the United Kingdom on July 21st, 2023. The movie has already grossed over $241 million in less than 3 weeks. This is despite a release date that clashed with another big-budget blockbuster, Barbie. The movie continues to generate conversations amongst young and old alike, and it doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon. A masterpiece in every sense of the word. If you enjoyed this video, then you'll definitely like some of our other videos as well. Click on the like button and subscribe to our channel for more exciting videos like this one.